Greetings to all. In the Gospel reading assigned for today, Matthew 11:16 through 19, and also verses 25 through 30, Jesus lashes out at a generation of adults who seem consistently to miss the point of the message he has come to proclaim. The message is that the time for God's justice, mercy, and grace to reign on earth is now. The point is that for this to be so, people need to change the ways in which they go about living in relationship to each other and to God's creation. Jesus' point was not well received, and much of the generation to whom he spoke in this passage refused to take the message to heart. So Jesus resorts to a somewhat sarcastic parody of a prayer. He says in a voice all can hear, "Thank you, Father, that you have hidden these things from this generation which thinks it is so wise and intelligent, and instead have revealed what is needful to infants." That is to say, to a generation not yet hardened in mind and heart. Maybe Jesus' words are simply a statement of truth. There are many things the younger generation sees that are hidden from the adult generation's eyes. Which brings us to our own point to ponder for this week. Good things happen when youth speak and adults listen. Joining me to ponder this point today is my friend Marshall Rose with a story about how a young high school student, Jeff Takahashi, approached him with a proposal in the year 2013. It was a proposal that ended up transforming the community of Tracy, California, where both he and Jeff lived at that time.
Well, I was president of the Crime Stoppers at the time, and his mother happened to be on my board. And she said, Jeff has an idea that he would like to bring up to you and the board and see what you feel about it. And during that time period, there were bomb threats going on in the community, gang fights, a lot of bullying of different kinds going on. There was some drug use on campus, and some of the kids were not pleased with it at all. They were actually very upset about it. And so Jeff had an idea, and he went to some folks on campus, and they said, well, we don't know that we have the resources or the time or whatever to put into that. And so he told his mom about it and said, well, why don't you come to the board and talk to Marshall and the rest of the board and see what they have to say about it. So Jeff Takahashi came and he presented his idea that the kids know what's going on a campus and in a community. It would be great if we had a voice where we don't have to worry about retaliation. And my understanding from Jeff was just that, well, Crime Stoppers, you can do it anonymously, right? And so we explained to him what Crime Stoppers was and how it worked, and so that's how we got started with it all.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like what you were able to do was, without it being scary, like having to go to the school authorities or to the police, that you provided a safe way for kids to be able to have some say in what was happening in their lives. Is that a fair characterization?
Yes, it was very fair. The kids didn't feel that they had a safe place to go. Even with their counselors or their teachers, they weren't quite sure that would stay anonymous. And so the vehicle was Tracy Crime Stoppers.
And then I saw where they're even now going down into some of the middle schools to try to help kids prepare for that transition into high school. What are some of the things they stress when they go into the middle schools?
Okay. One of the things is that they put together skits so the kids, the younger kids, could kind of relate to it better. And they would talk about, again, in the Bulldog Project, they're freshmen through seniors. So it's not just the upper class kids, it's the freshmen through seniors. And they would talk about, we were just where you were a year or 2 or 3 ago. And so we kind of understand what you're going through, so they could relate better. And so they went there and they did the skits, and they give the kids an opportunity to start reaching down, and they taught them. They put the groups together in different schools, in the middle schools, And so those middle school kids now are going to the elementary schools and doing presentations on anti-bullying and those kind of things.
What do you think is the biggest difference that has made in the community to have that?
I think it's the youth feel that they have a voice, and their parents are more apt to support the kids and talk to the kids, to listen to them. And one of the things that the kids were talking about, that their parents would give them $50 and say, go to the mall. And now they're having conversations about what's going on in the community, what's going on in the school, how can we make improvements. They're supporting rallies and that kind of thing. So it's just a whole different community. There's more trust of law enforcement now than there was before, particularly from the Sikh community. The Sikh community are very concerned about law enforcement, and they didn't feel that they were giving a fair shake when they would report something. And so now, whether they can report it anonymously, they don't know if it's coming from a Sikh community person or if it's coming from someone else. And then by having meetings, it put them together where they could have straight talk and feel a more comfort level. Moving to direction of community policing rather than a law enforcement policing. You know, it's a matter of the whole community getting involved and sharing how can we make things better, rather than law enforcement saying, hey, it's going to be punitive if you don't do things differently.
If you were going to characterize some of the things about some of these young people that you've worked with, what were some of the general characteristics that you feel like you saw in them as a group of people?
On actually embracement rather than tolerance, about people of different backgrounds. They wanted to find out more. They wanted to get them involved. You know, for students who had physical and mental disabilities to students who were not as well off as others. They got kids involved from the athletic teams as well as the honor societies, as well as you know the kids who used to be gangbangers. And it was just incredible to see that, and those kids witnessed, and they witnessed that to the middle schoolers as well as to the parent groups that we brought together. So just seeing them, and they put together their presentations. We did not say, hey, here's your presentation, you take it and you do it. They put it together, and they spent a lot of time doing that, their own time. And that was the thing that I saw differently than what I was hearing about the generation.
Right.
There's such negative things about the generation, and I saw just the opposite.
Right.
I saw them bringing other people together, not just their generation, but the older people too.
What would you like to say to the adults?
I would say you don't have to know how to do it. Just sit there and listen.